Welcome to another episode of Don't Call It Small. I'm your host, Natasha Foreman. If you don't know me and you have no clue what this podcast is all about, let me share a bit. I'm a lead management consultant at ForemanLLC, LLC, where we provide consulting and professional development services. And Don't Call It Small is where we talk all things business, share tips and news that you can use, and highlight the people and ideas behind the products and services that we buy. To learn more about our team, please visit ForemanLLC.com. That's ForemanLLC.com. So happy to be here with all of you today. Oh my goodness. This is episode 78. This is an interesting one. This is one that I've had some conversations with different people, and so it has been the inspiration for this episode. We're going to be looking at reimagining the box and not being defined by it, and we're going to go into that because I know some people are like, it's not even a box, but we'll go into all of that and what it really entails. I have a quote from William James that says, "A great many people think they are thinking when they are merely rearranging their prejudices." Oh, we see that so much on social media and the news outlets and every place we can think of, right? We definitely do. It's intense. It's intense. Oh my goodness, that was a great quote. So I want to kind of refresh your memory. If you've been listening to me over the past few months, you've probably heard me say, I'm not an object. Don't put me in a box. I'm not a product you toss in a box, right? You've probably heard me say that. And we live, work, drive, and ride around in boxes every day. Our homes, places of work, unless you work outdoors, our vehicles, public transportation, elevators, all boxes. So why be positioned to conform and to be transformed by a box of life, category, label, circumstance, right? It's all of these different things that we don't consider. You are a box for gender, age, ethnicity, nationality, sexual orientation, religion, political party, and so on and so forth. You are either pro this or anti that. You're liberal, conservative, moderate. Boxes, boxes, boxes. Demographics, statistics, numbers, data, boxes, and more boxes. And that's why many of us struggle with tackling life's problems, business problems, relationship problems, because we're looking for a box to check. We're looking for the all men do this box, and all women do this box, and all white people, all rich people, all Americans, all Christians, all Muslims, all golfers, all fast food restaurants, all vegans, all lesbians, all atheists, all married people, all Republicans, all Texans, all Chinese people. Like, right? We just keep going. And guess what? Those boxes don't exist. Yet we keep looking for them to quickly apply an attached solution that also doesn't exist. What happens to trapped energy with no outlet? The same thing that happens to us when we are placed in metaphorical boxes with no room to expand, to release, to do much of anything. Explode or implode. And it's weird how we claim we want originality, uniqueness, quirky, different, but then gravitate to the cookie cutter, the status quo. Navy suit, white shirt, conservative blue or red tie, nothing to remember shoes. A box. Innovation and creativity suffer in a box. They can be outright silenced in a box. In the box, we don't take risk, or at least not enough bold ones, if we do take those steps, the box is a comfort zone. This is the way we've always done it syndrome. The box is, well, it's the rules, even when the rules are archaic and no longer relevant. The box says you can be this, but not that. Or you can be these things, but not those things. The box says you can love this person, but not that one. We have laws on the books that are outdated and irrelevant, and we vote in politicians who jump in the box and keep those same laws enforceable. right? We see it all the time. In episode 67, we dedicated time to discuss workplace inconsistencies from practices to policies. So check it out if you haven't already heard it. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm all for structure and order, but it has to make sense. Don't have a box for a box's sake. Just the same is true when you see a problem, but you struggle with searching for plausible solutions because you struggle with rewiring your thinking, considering a different perspective, approach. And for every problem, can you propose 10 possible solutions with 4 that we can thoroughly inspect and 2 that we can run side by side to see which matches up best? I mean, you see the problem and that's all because you've placed it in a box. You see nothing but the box. Reimagine the box. Reimagine what's in it. Is it a problem or an opportunity to do something? And we get trapped the moment we say problem and don't follow up with, but I've got some solutions in mind, or I'm working on some steps to resolve it. Pet peeve of many leaders. When someone comes and says there's a problem and that box is just hanging there overhead like an anvil that Wile E. Coyote hoisted up to flatten the Roadrunner. And in the eyes of the leader, they and the team are Roadrunner. And the deliverer of this news, aka the anvil, is Wile E. Coyote. And do you know why they're seen as old Wiley? Because they didn't come with any possible solutions. Right? They didn't come in and say, hey, Michelle, we've got a problem, aka anvil, but we've resolved it, aka we saw that pesky coyote and bypassed his plot and that darn anvil got him instead. When you come with the solutions, it's no longer a box, it's just a check mark that flies off to it's all good paradise and kicks it with a smoothie and muffin. When you operate from the position of boxes, your biases intensify because you're less willing to allow other variables that don't fit in the box. That means no diversity of thought and ideas. It also means you don't know what you don't know. Boxes help to discriminate against others. Just as we use boxes to hide in, boxes can restrict promotions, raises, bonuses, overhauling policies. Then we wrap red tape around the boxes, imprisoning people, ideas, opportunities, growth. Our recruitment efforts are stalled, dull, with less diverse fruit because of boxes. In episode 65, we discussed recruiting underrepresented groups, and this can be a feat for those that are stuck in, consumed by, and obsessed with boxes. And there's a quote by Laura Miller that I shared in episode 65 where she said, diversity is about creating an environment where a person can bring their whole self to work. Not just the parts of them that fit certain boxes. The same people yelling about rights and freedom are maintaining the status quo that restricts rights and prevents true freedom. I mean, think about it. Education, job, career, marriage, children, family, rent, lease, purchase, mortgage, insurance. Check, 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 check the box. When you don't, what's wrong with you? That's always the question, right? Boxes for success, boxes for failure. What's good, what's evil, what's acceptable or not, limits and restrictions, unless you choose to reimagine. Are you willing to see things differently, approach things in uncommon ways? Exploration takes place when someone gives into the pull, the urging to seek beyond what's before them and around them, to believe that what they see, hear, and feel can't be allness, the finite, the end of possibility. Your predictability is what makes you an easy target. I mean, you take the same route to and from work and to and from home and to and from wherever. Your purchase history is predictable. If we sort through your trash each week, we're bound to see your buying habits and the boxes you fit nicely in. And here's something interesting that I thought about and shared with a few. And sometimes in desperation to run from conformity, we tend to run right to another box, another label, defined by that label and the box. Conforming. A celebrity chooses to dress how they feel. Matter of fact, their style is also probably what got them noticed, whether authentic or an act. And years later, they became this star that people call the overnight success story. And this person, is now a new celebrity. And, they've looked like this for a handful plus years. No one noticed or seemingly cared. Now, a household name, and their look has become a trend, inspiring runways for the season after next. Now a new box has been shaped and created, and every fan wants to be that box. And what do we see take place with that celebrity? Oftentimes, they begin to evolve from what was their common go-to to now something else they have created and fallen back on. Or, oh my goodness, or they've allowed someone else to mold them into another box. Or possibly worse, they spiral, overwhelmed by all of the lookalikes, the clones of them, suffocating them, forcing them to retreat and hide, trying to escape. And sadly, escapism is quick, fast, and dirty, through pill popping, shot slamming, line snorting, and what's in that pipe exactly? And it's because, just like the other examples I've shared, we lack a true understanding of our identity. So the world is eager to define you. Do you know who you are? Who are you? What are you? Why are you? How are you? You. When you see a person changing, and to you it may seem like it's all the time, you may see it as a sign of this person's instability, but look at it from a different lens and you will see that it's a sign that they aren't in a box, or at least not defined and constrained by that box. Actors fear it because typecasting will lock you into a character theme, a genre box that you will die in. You may work within a certain industry, but you don't have to conform and become a clone, part of the Borg, looking, sounding, thinking, speaking, and behaving like everyone else, or recycling the old you over and over again. Look at the actors who fought hard to get other roles that were drastically different than the character we grew familiar seeing. Then as they go from, let's say, comedy to thriller, or from the Hallmark Channel to Paranormal Activity, they're fighting the boxes. And when looking at the extreme examples of this, consider all of the isms in this world, and how they're a bunch of conforming, suffocating, death by association boxes. I mean, sexism, classism, racism, heck, even nationalism. There ends up being a blind allegiance to principles and practices that you are indoctrinated and stamped with, and like the Borg, resistance is futile. I just had to throw in a Star Trek reference. If you guys know me, you have to know I love Star Trek. This world is like a big old social experiment with millions of rooms of human lab rats. And what could your business be doing if you didn't restrict it with your box? How many people could it help? What wealth of knowledge could you and your children possess if not stuck in a box, dead set on only reading the same type of information over and over? Oh my goodness. There's a quote from Albert Einstein. It says, imagination is more important than knowledge, for knowledge is limited to all we now know and understand, while imagination embraces the entire world and all there ever will be to know and understand. Folks, that means you can't be in a box. You can't be in a box. You can't. It's mass brainwashing, mass Jonestown Kool-Aid drinking when we find ourselves in these boxes. Have you ever wondered how a person could be sucked into a cult as an adult? I mean, it's easy to see how it can happen as a child. You really don't have much to say. But as an adult, I mean, being told of all the ways they don't fit into the perfect boxes of the world, right? The so-called perfect boxes of the world. But then they're told, here with us, you are free of those boxes. But what you don't see is that they've just manipulated you and wiggled you right into other boxes. You're handcuffed to them, mentally enslaved, and when you begin to realize you've been hoodwinked and you try to leave the people who claimed to help set you free, what happens? They fight you to keep you in bondage, physically, mentally, emotionally, financially, spiritually, enslaved in a box. Sometimes literally, oftentimes cut off from family members who they convinced you were toxic and evil and not for you, as they didn't fit the boxes of the cult. Not called a cult, by the way, because you probably never would have joined. Yeah. So we'll call it something else and probably even qualify it as a nonprofit and avoid taxes and other scrutiny from outsiders. Folks, you're in a box. Heck, might as well call it your first stage coffin. Because if you don't get out, break away, get free, stay free, and far, far away, you will die there with them in that box. And they'll hide it, cover it up, lie to your family, and claim you left years earlier. Yeah, we've heard that, right? Oh my goodness. Those true crime stories are intense. We've heard those stories. Fear box, checked and satisfied. I'm not even going to speak the names of these toxic leaders. Not long time, but in 20th and 21st century, it wasn't that long ago. I'm not going to mention the active organizations still victimizing people. Just search online and expand your mind to see what's around you influencing public policy and business practices. The fear of retaliation and punishment keeps a lot of people stuffed in boxes socially and professionally. And how many of you are stuck in dead-end jobs or in dead-end companies because of whichever boxes you have subscribed to? What fears are triggered when you consider leaving? Your fear is so huge. You can't fathom seeking out 10 other solutions, testing out 4 to 5, and running with 1 or 2 to gain your freedom and new chapter life. What's the worst thing that can happen? Well, those 10 solutions don't work and you're still working there. What's the best thing that can happen? You find a solution, it works, and you leave that dead-end job, that dead-end relationship, that dead-end company. We stay in romantic relationships that I just defined as romantic, but heck, they're anything but. And 9 times out of 10, they're toxic and killing you, slow or fast. But you're afraid to leave because you believe whatever this person has told you. The one who you fell head over heels for way back when, not knowing they were a predator, a life-sucking, day-walking vampire. They've placed you in a box and you accepted the box at some point, probably high off of the lusty symphony they crooned your way. Coming down off of that high is no different than the awakened cult member example that I just shared. They start telling you all of the boxes you won't fit in and how the boxes you do fit in are rejected by this person, that person, your family, friends, society. And you cave to the pressure because you think those boxes matter. That they have omnipotent, omnipresent, omniscient power. Look again at those boxes. What are they? How were they formed? Who formed them? Why were they formed? People fear stepping outside of the box. They fear exploring beyond. They fear the consequences. But what are the consequences of staying in the box? Folks, we gotta let the imagination flow. You gotta reimagine it. Something that just came to me is the loyalty box. People use it personally and professionally to keep other people shackled to them, even if they don't value these other folks. And can you value and respect what you imprison? No. You value what you extract from the imprisonment, from the labor you force upon them, but you don't value them. You don't respect them. You don't even see them. They don't have an identity outside of the box that you have placed them in. That's why people will tell you if you don't stay in the box, you are their enemy, which is a fear tactic. The best relationships, professionally and personally, they allow, expect, demand, encourage, and facilitate growth, change, innovation, imagination, and expanding beyond expectations. It's not that long, healthy relationships and marriages are a result of 2 people not growing and changing. It's because of that growth and change and their acceptance of it that their relationship is healthy. Relationships blossom by the character-driven energy invested in them. We trust, rely upon, bet on the character of our significant other, our spouse, that they have the heart of the person they fell in love with, even if their mind, opinions, and beliefs have changed. I mean, that's what we really think. Who we fell in love with is who we hope that person is still there, that they haven't morphed into some kind of monster. And if you're a lifelong learner, then you don't think the same way you did 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 plus years ago. Well, you don't if you're actively learning from a multitude of sources, not just one or a few of the same old recycled crappy boxes you keep digging in. You would think that racist, for instance, would grow tired of regurgitating the sentiments and propaganda of 500 plus years ago, but ignorance blocks awareness, knowledge gaining, and applied wisdom. When you refuse to leave your box, explore and learn facts and truth, and imagine a reality outside of whatever you have configured in your mind, in your box. Man. When you refuse to leave your box, explore and learn facts and truth, when all you do is slop up, swallow down, and ruminate everyone else's regurgitation, what else can you expect? And that was such a just gross and vile visual, was it not? But that's exactly what people do. That's the nonsense we hear through news outlets. That's the nonsense we hear and see on social media. It is the regurgitation of ruminated nonsense. And the folks that pay an arm, leg, and a few lives to keep those boxes reinforced and secure so that it doesn't implode, explode, or get toppled over, they cleverly repackage old rhetoric, knowing you don't have a clue what's truth or fiction because you're so brainwashed to believe them over the people outside of the box. But you never consider the character of the people inside of the box, or putting up walls and fences to further insulate and reinforce the box. All while they spewed lies and told you, just like the cult leader, just like a pimp, how you don't fit in, how your box is repulsive to society, how other people are coming to take what's yours, take your spot, and you better fight for what's yours, protect your women and children. And what do? Because you don't know what you don't know. You don't explore. You don't listen to other news outlets or read other newspapers or listen to people who don't come from the same boxes as you. You don't spend quality time getting to know people who look, sound, think, and live differently than you. And since you don't do these things, you strap yourself into that box and declare you'll kill and destroy anyone and anything to protect that box. And the puppet masters smile and they clap as the chains attached to you clickety-clack together. And for another day, the box is secure. Oh. I have this quote from Jeff Raskin that says that users do not care about what is inside the box as long as the box does what they need done. That's what I just finished talking about, right? About you don't really value you just what you can get from it as long as it can do what it's supposed to do. Have you ever noticed that when you look at someone's character and they're honorable, loving, considerate, respectful, selfless, inclusive, dignified, a disciple and leader of justice and equity and inclusion and true freedom, you can't put them in a box. These character traits don't mean they aren't flawed, that they don't make mistakes. We trust them because we know that they will stomp through hell and back, body slam a demon or two, to do whatever it takes to do the right thing because it matters. Their heart rises above the chaos. They aren't perfect and they don't claim to be. They do because they are. They most likely have an identity and they embrace it. And it's not bound to boxes. They are fluid, flexible, fully aware that the only control they should seek is self-control of mouth and actions. And they stand for humankind and still wouldn't jump to shoot down a UFO because they're not operating from the box that attacks what's different. So you can stand up for humankind without destroying everything that's not human. You can have a positive pride and love and respect for people that are like you without tearing down and destroying people that are not like you. And I mentioned structure earlier, and structure in life can be extremely beneficial. Just don't fall into the trap of rigidity and don't see the box and be defined and limited by it. There are powerful people that we've put in power and continue to empower who are driven by our desire to fit in, be accepted and acknowledged, and be part of something bigger than us. And they play on it. And rather than this energy being harnessed for good works, it's perverted and unleashed upon the earth like scenes from every horror movie ever created. It's impacting us on every level of life. And businesses have failed because they refuse to reimagine the boxes before them, the box they placed themselves in. Even optimism won't help because optimism, just like faith, requires work. You still need to climb out of the box. Acknowledge that there are boxes, always will be as long as humankind exists, but you don't have to be defined by a box. You don't have to be in a box. The only vessel that you should want to stay bound to, contained within, is your body. And even that has a shelf life with an expiration date, and you will transport right out of it. I encourage you to look at the aspects of your life and how you are being defined, challenged, molded. Are you truly free, or are you just on a leash? Are you indistinguishable from the crowd, or are you the person that people say, wow, you're not like anyone I know? Or the telltale response, wow, you're not like other fill in the blank people. No, you're not, because rather than surrender to the box, right? Rather than surrender to the box, instead you looked at it and chose instead to throw your stuff in there to donate. You're just like, this is what a box is for. You saw the box and acknowledged it without emotion and kept going about your day because you have some exploring, learning, growing, innovating, creating to do, and the endless possibilities are only restricted by the unknown expiration date on our bodies. So there's no time to waste being crammed in this box. Stretch out. Go, see, and be. Your mind, body, family, business, and the universe will thank you. Yeah. I hope this benefited someone. Let's pivot our attention to 3 businesses that don't just think outside of the box. They've reimagined it out of existence, and they are shocking the minds of every person that sees their works of art. So first up is Nakiah Lewis. She's a designer artist. She's the woman behind NYL Customs. Oh my goodness. The amazing things she can do with a pair of Crocs for you, your boo, your little ones, mom, dad, grandparents. She can bling, bedazzle, charm them beyond your imagination. I want you guys to check out her work on Instagram. You can see them at NYL.Customs. NYL.Customs. She's booked for June. So pre-orders for July will begin on June 20th. Please send her a message on or after that date with your 50% deposit. And also, she wants to make sure that you guys already know your correct Croc size. So go try on some Crocs. Her prices include the cost of the Crocs, a custom shoebox, and shipping and handling. All sales are final, no returns or exchanges. There's a 3 to 4 week turnaround. Check her Instagram for current prices, folks. NYL.Customs on Instagram. Shout out number 2 is to Erin Marone. Oh my goodness, absolutely amazing. She's a fluid and mixed media artist, the creative force sketching the limits of the mind with her creative works that are presented through her business, EMacrylics. I absolutely fell in love with her work not too long ago. And her work is absolutely beautiful. It's breathtaking. And I float into her pieces every time I see one. I'm just like, oh, I lose track of time when I'm on her website or on her Instagram page because they're just beautiful. She even does collaborations with other artists. So I want you guys to contact Erin Marone, so that you can get all the details on commissions and so on and so forth in the process. And you can visit her website, EMacrylics.com, and her Instagram is EMacrylics. Absolutely beautiful. Number 3. Now, you guys know I had to bring food because I always bring at least one food source. I always got to shout out at least one source of food on some level. But today I'm not just bringing you any kind of food. I'm bringing you donuts, and not just any kind of donuts. They're said to be the world's most award-winning donuts, and they've been featured on Food Network, on air with Ryan Seacrest, the Ellen DeGeneres Show, Serious Eats, Conan, Travel Channel, and more. And they don't just sell donuts. They even sell merch like, t-shirts and hats and mugs and more. I mean, quirky, funny, donut-inspired items that are bound to be a conversation starter. They're just too hilarious and funny and cute. And so I know with all that, you're like, well, what company are you talking about? Well, I'm referring to Donut Bar Las Vegas. Yes, they are located in Las Vegas at 124 South 6th Street. That's number 140. And this team of creative donut chefs are doing big things. Oh my goodness, they have something for just about everyone. Little kids, big kids, vegans, old school, new school. I think I hurt myself every time I see one of their donuts. I mean, who makes grilled cheese donuts? French toast donuts? They do. Amazing. So visit their website, donutbarvegas.com, and they're on Instagram at donutbarlv. All right? Oh, come prepared to eat, folks. Come prepared. Well, you guys know what that is. It's that time. It's time for us to go our separate ways. But before we do, let me leave you with a quote. It's from Susan C. Young. And she says, reimagination is the birthplace for vision and change. Your imagination is one of the most valuable talents you have and deserves your full attention. Imagining how you want to live your life is one thing, but connecting your imagination to a visual representation will give you exactly the traction you need to make it a reality. Yes, folks, reimagine the box. Reimagine the box. With that, be sure to check us out on Facebook at Foreman and Associates and on Instagram and Twitter at ForemanLLC. Our podcast Twitter handle is It Ain't Small, and our Instagram is Don't Call It Small. Be sure to also follow us and share us with your friends, colleagues, and family. You can follow me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn at Natasha L. Foreman. Reach out to me, say hello, share your story. I look forward to meeting you. I want to make sure that I give proper credit for our show theme song. It's called Higher Up, and it's by Shane Ivers. Thank you for tuning in to the Don't Call It Small Business Podcast, for sharing these episodes with others, and for your continued support. And don't forget what I tell you on each and every episode. Don't call what you're planning, thinking, dreaming, or doing little or small. Go big, go bold, or go nowhere. I'll see you here next week. Make today a super awesome day. Take care.